Welcome to the Marketing Mortgages podcast by Social for Brokers. Now, today I have with me a guest who's walked the walk from climbing the ranks as a mortgage advisor to selling a successful business to becoming a business growth specialist and coach. I'm joined by Paul Flavin, who is a business growth expert and also an author of the brilliant book, Build, Scale, Sell. So welcome onto the podcast, Paul.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for popping on. We had a bit of an outfit change just before the podcast started. Paul changed his glasses because if you've ever spoken to Paul before or had coaching from Paul before, he said that everybody knows him from his big glasses. You made that switch, didn't you?
I had to. People just get used to it because if without the glasses, I just look like basically a grapefruit. So the glasses,
it's brand.
You don't see many grapefruits wearing glasses, so it just helps that definition.
Love it. So the reason that I got Paul on the podcast today is he's been where you've been as a mortgage advisor and he's worked his way up to partner in a successful firm. So to give you a bit of a background, once he'd worked his way up, he launched Portfolio Financial Management, which covered everything from investments to protection. Later, he split the business, forming Zing Mortgages to focus purely on mortgage and protection advice, while Portfolio Financial Management became an IFA firm. He then sold the company in 2020. Since then, Paul has turned his attention to coaching and strategy. And what he does is he helps business owners create a business that doesn't rely solely on them. So in today's episode, we're diving into the 4 essential pillars of a successful and scalable business. And that's where I'd like to start the podcast with you, Paul, if we could.
Sure.
Can you explain to us, and we're going to go into a bit more detail of what these are, but what are the 4 essential pillars that you think make a successful and scalable business?
Right. And this was learning the hard way, I'd say, because the 4 pillars of any business is marketing, sales, operations, and finance. Now, A lot of people, me included, only had half a business because we was great at operations and great at finance. So in Zing, we'd have returning customers. Our retention rate on customers was brilliant. We'd get great referrals and that would generate an income. But when you look at it, the growth or shrinkage of that company is reliant on the clients. The clients keep coming back and keep referring, we grow. If the clients stop referring or stop coming back, we shrink. We have absolutely no control. So I always say we've got half a business because we only had operations and finance. The other half of the business, the first half, is marketing and sales. And why I think they're so important to split is marketing is where you raise your hand, get clear on your message so you're attracting the right clients. Mm-hmm. The sales funnel is taking that right client from the very beginning of the journey through a nurture cycle so that at the end of it, they're confident enough to know you're the right person to buy from. So if you've got great marketing and great sales, you'll generate constant clients, but you need great operations and great finance to make sure that you maintain them clients for the long term. So a successful business has all 4 sorted. They've got great marketing, they've got a great sales funnel, they've got systems and processes as well as a great team to help them convert and deliver a quality of service, and then they've got all their finances sorted. And although I say finances, that's basically every number in the business. So you should be able to know your lifetime value of a client. You should know the cost to acquire that client. You should know all the numbers through the operation cycle. What's a number of staff you need per volume of leads? Finance is knowing all your numbers, but you need the 4 pillars sorted. So marketing, sales, operations, finance, they'll all fail somewhere or other. And they're all that, if you had to score your company out of 10 in each one, what would you score them? And let's start working on the lowest one because that's where you're falling down.
So that is a really succinct way of saying it's those 4 pillars. And what I love that you've said there, Paul, is even when you were running your business, because I never like these podcast episodes to be, this is what you should do. And it's theory. You've actually lived through this. You've done this. And what's really good is you've said the 2 pillars you were really good at, finance. As somebody in a financial services background, yes, we'd have hoped that everybody's good on finance. And into the operations, everybody's good at being a mortgage advisor. But then there's a big difference between being a mortgage advisor and a business owner, isn't there? And that's what we're gonna try and bridge that gap for people today.
Yeah, I think a
So,
lot of
yeah,
this is the trouble with businesses in general, and I coach a lot of businesses across the board. Um, it's like just because you can drive a car doesn't mean to say you can build a car. Just
yep,
because you know how to deliver a decent quality of service on the mortgage side doesn't mean to say you can run a business that delivers mortgages. So,
mm-hmm.
and that's where the big learning comes. So, usually brokers are working inside a company. They get confident. They feel like the business owner's making all the money, or the estate agent's making all the money, or whoever they're working for, and they decide to set out on their own. So, on day one, they think all the friends and family, and perhaps a few from the old client bank, are going to follow them across, and they're going to grow from that, and it's going to be a successful business. But on day one, they're still just a mortgage broker. They're just a mortgage broker with their own business, which tends to mean you're an underpaid employee of your own company, because where else can you go where you won't get sick pay, you won't get holiday pay, you won't get minimum wage, and the world's against you. So on day one of setting out on your own, you know how to be a mortgage broker, but you don't know how to be a business owner, and that's fine. In the world of mortgages, you can be successful and make a nice living as a lifestyle broker. You've got a lot of brokers that are sort of banking £120,000 a year, and they're enjoying life. They're playing golf, they're doing whatever they want to do, and they're enjoying life, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's the ones I deal with, the ones that have got this ambition to grow something special, but they just don't understand how to run a business. So you get that stage where they hit a plateau, and what they've actually plateaued at is it's not the business that's plateaued, it's their ability that's plateaued. So they need to become business owners, and that's the transition. You've got to go from a mortgage broker that owns a business to a business owner that offers mortgage services, and that's the real
And this is what
transformation.
we're gonna.
That's where it really happens.
And we're going to give you the tools. Well, I say we. Paul's going to give you the tools today that is going to enable you to do that. So you've written the fantastic book, Build, Scale, Sell, and I've got a copy, which I'm reading through. I've got a few questions about the book, and I think this is a really good way for us to... I'm going to use the book as a bit of a guide because it contains all of your teachings. So the first question that I have for you, and I'm hoping as we answer these questions, we can tell your story as well, Paul, because it's a great one that you've built this business up. So what I've got here is what inspired you to write, Build, Scale and Sell, and how closely does it mirror Sarah's story? So in the book, Sarah is the mortgage broker that you're helping. How similar is your story to hers?
Well, coaching is quite an expensive undertaking. It's a great investment for a business if you're the right business and the right attitude, but it is a commitment financially. And what I wanted to do was help as many businesses, especially the mortgage businesses, become better at being business owners. So what I done was wrote Build, Scale, Sell in the style of a story. So it follows Sarah, who decides to leave the bank and sets up as a mortgage broker, goes through all the trials and tribulations, trying to do everything herself, then takes on a business coach, Michelle, who they then go on this journey of building a company that eventually sells. So, a lot of people that read it said they felt like it was being written about them because, it is that pain of the first thing you do when you wake up is check your emails, but you're looking for issues and problems. You open up to see what clients are giving you grief, what pains you've got to go through that day. And then you go in and you just work through the day just to get to the other end. Hopefully, no more fires are there to be put out. And then you go home and you worry about everything you haven't done. Go to bed, you start putting work. I mean, we go into business to give ourselves a better personal life. But what we end up doing is sacrificing personal life to try and control a business that's now becoming uncontrollable. So I wanted to write the book in a way that it showed that I understood the pains everyone goes through and that you don't have to suffer them. There's quite simple and easy ways to do it. So, after chapter 1, at the end of each chapter, there's a set of questions, but there's also a downloadable workbook so you can start marking yourself, start giving yourself projects or quick wins to start working at. Because I want it to be almost like a self-help book so you can overcome a great many of the trials and tribulations of running a business for like $12.99, whatever the book is. So it was that way of making it a cheap alternative to start dipping in your toe into coaching.
And that's it, isn't it? It's so expensive to do that. So by telling the story, it's great that you can see so many pain points. Those pain points, did you have very similar pain points when you were growing up? And when did that penny drop that you were like, yeah, I'm now a business owner rather than a mortgage broker?
Quite late on, as I say, I think with Zing, I never actually got to grips with or never needed to get to grips with marketing and sales because my whole ambition on day one was to win Best Customer Service Awards. Mm-hmm. Everything else to me was insignificant. All I wanted to do was win Best Customer Service Awards because I know if we could win them, then we knew we was on the right track. And right. I think, and people shoot me down for this, I think in the mortgage world, you don't have to be brilliant to be the best because we don't give great service. And that's probably general in the UK. We don't give great service. And it's funny because I was on a leadership course, and when this penny dropped anyway, I was on a leadership course and we had to do blindfold golf buggy driving. Okay. Now, to me, being a bit of a petrol head, I just run up to the golf buggy, put a blindfold on and just drove it straight into a tree because I just wanted to get going, you know what I mean? And they then explained, no, you're supposed to have someone with you. This is supposed to be a course in communication. And you go around this country park, you go in and out of trees, then there's a long straight, and then you have to reverse into a garage, and you're timed. So I'd seen 3 or 4 people go before me, got my guy next to me, offset off, and it's okay, left a bit, right a bit, left a bit, a little bit slower, a little bit faster. Okay, we're on the straight, put your foot down, I'll tell you when to stop. And that was only for, say, 10 seconds I had my foot down. But 10 seconds when you're blindfolded and feel like you're going quite quickly, it's quite scary. And I'm starting to wonder if the guys fell out, are we coming to our death, are we going to crash? And then he said, stop, okay, go, slow down, reverse the garage. We've done it. It was on the way home from that experience that I thought, that is our client's experience. Our clients, we have the first visit in the old days, first visit, second visit. It'll be so intense. We'd be asking them questions. It's there for an hour. We're talking to them, getting to know them. We're then going back, presenting to them. And then they hear nothing. We assume that they know that we're working in their favour. We know that they're pushing it through as quick as possible. To the client, no news isn't good news and silence isn't golden. Their impression is something's gone wrong. We're not going to get this house or we're not going to get this mortgage. They're afraid to tell us. They won't want to tell us because they know it's going to spoil our weekend. Not at all. So what tends to happen is the client phones up, how's my case getting on? It's interrupted what you're doing. So you say, can I give you a ring in 10 minutes time? I'll give you an update. That 10 minutes tends to be 2 hours, 3 hours. You ring back, give them the update. What you've actually done is looked on your system. This is because we was really focused. We look on our system, read the notes, give the client the update. The client's perception is, they've chased me, they've gave me a kick up the arse, I've got on the phone to the lender or the solicitor, I've got an update, and if it wasn't for the client, I would have let them know. So we had a sign in the office that said, if the client rings for an update, we failed. We made sure that every week that client got an update. They also got told the date of the next update, and as they got closer to completion, that became daily. And that was our target. And because we was delivering that quality of service, we was getting referrals, we was getting repeat business, we was getting estate agents asking to work with us. So we didn't need this marketing machine. But if I'd known what marketing and sales, what it looks like to have a marketing machine and a good sales funnel, that business would have been, instead of say being £1 million business, could have been a £5 million business. Because we knew what we was doing. We had systems, we had processes, we had good training, we had all the right people in the right places. But we relied on the clients to give us leads, as opposed to generating leads ourselves.
So you say that marketing and sales is a big area, and that's what I'd like to get into.
Yeah, and when I built them companies, I only ever built half a company, and that's a real regret because knowing what I know now and working with the companies I work with, and you work with several of yourselves, knowing if you can get all 4 of them pillars firing, you've got something that's really scalable.
And that's exactly what we want to get into. So the four pillars that you talk about: marketing, sales, operations, and finance. Let's start with marketing. So you mentioned in the book that shouting into the void is a common feeling of a lot of mortgage brokers. Yeah. What's the biggest mistake you see just small business owners make when trying to attract clients?
I think the biggest mistake they make is being scared to niche. So they
Okay.
feel that, if they niche down, they're going to be saying no to so many clients. I think there's 36,000 mortgage brokers in the UK, and there's 7 million mortgaged houses, which is basically 200 households per mortgage advisor, if you want to break it down like that.
Gosh.
There's, this is sort of research for the book. There's 5.5 million companies in the UK. 4.5 million have got no employees, so they're sole traders, and another 4 million have got no employees, and 1 million have got under 10. So if you said, I'm going to specialise in self-employed, I go, well, that's restrictive. Well, yeah, you've restricted yourself to 5 million people. But if you've got that big list in your shop window that says, we do purchase, remortgage, buy-to-let, HMO, first-time buyers, and this never-ending list, how can you direct a message to your ideal client? So, if we're looking at marketing, it's like, point one, who do you actually enjoy serving who's your dream client? Who's that client that you absolutely get real pleasure from helping? It might be first-time buyers. It might be self-employed. It might be, blue light workers. It could be anything. If you know who they are, you can then identify what their pain points are. And if you can identify their pain points, you can then flip that on its head, and that becomes your USP and your guarantee. But you can't have a USP and guarantee that suits all of them 7 million people. It's impossible. So choose the segment you want to serve and really get to know them. Where do they live? Where do they shop? What sort of appetite have they got? Just get really, really clear on who your ideal client is, because from that point on, you then, you know yourself. If a client comes to you and says, this is my ideal client, how much easier is it for you to market for them?
Yeah. And that's it. If you look at, I love the exercise. I learned it from a lady who's a LinkedIn person. I've forgotten her surname, Helen Tudor, I think her name was. And she used to get you to do an ideal client avatar, stick man or woman on a piece of paper and write round them their income. Do they have a dog? How many kids have they got? Where do they shop? What do they watch on Netflix? And you would build that ideal client avatar, and you knew, look, if they're shopping at Aldi, for example, you could do some posts around Aldi and having a bit of a laugh with that, because that attracts your ideal client. But even with the likes of AI now, you can use AI to help you write that ideal client avatar that Paul's on about. Right, 25 to 50-year-olds, what do they like? What do they resonate with? How do we attract those people? That's where ChatGPT can really, really help you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll use, if we can get to ideal client status, you can deep dive on ChatGPT and say, this is my ideal client. Go on all the internet forums and find out what they're moaning about their mortgage. If it's a first-time buyer, go on Reddit and all the other internet forums, find out what the first-time buyers are complaining about when looking for a mortgage. You've got that data at your fingertips. Take that and go, right, okay, first-time buyers are struggling because they don't understand the terminology. They don't know how to negotiate with an estate agent. They don't know what they need for a deposit. And all of a sudden, you can design, by flipping that on its head, you can create a guarantee and a USP. Straight away you go, we will help you, come to Chris Target Mortgages. Part of our first-time buyer promise is you will not feel alone when negotiating your deal with an estate agent. You won't be bamboozled by jargon. And all of a sudden you've got this guarantee, and always say with guarantee, it should be punchy enough that it scares you. So, if we fail at any of these points, we'll give you a 100% refund on your fees. All of a sudden you're attracting clients because you know who you're looking for. You know what if you know who you're looking for, you understand what their pain points are. You can then flip it on the head and make all your marketing appeal to them pain points.
And then to the point of the niche, like you say, you're never going to have to turn away. If you're a self-employed specialist, you're never going to turn away the employed 40-year-old that needs a mortgage. They're going to come to you because you've helped their self-employed friend so well. They're going to come to you.
Yeah, they're going to recommend you to friends or family. They're not going to say, sorry, I've got a great advisor, but he only does self-employed.
Yeah. And that's where the referrals come, isn't it?
It was one of the American airlines, I'm not sure which one. They decided to pitch for the business class. They was going to do business class services all the way through. And the big boardroom debate was, if we go business class, we'll lose all the holidaymakers. But they was bold. They went for the pitch, went for the business class, and they actually attracted more holidaymakers by doing it, because the holidaymakers was thinking, well, if these are catering for the business class, that must be a really good service. I'm going to go over there and use them for my flight. So it had that effect of, if these people are specialists, they must really understand. So I'm going to give them a go.
Yeah, it's hard to be broad and then advertise that you're a specialist. Advertise your specialist, and then you can go.
You don't have to have one. You can have 2 or 3 niches. You don't have to have one. You can have 2 or 3 niches. But it's like I say in photography. If you're a photographer and you're advertising, you do commercial, you do weddings, you do baby photos, you do this, you do, and there's this huge list. You're competing with everyone. If you say, I specialise in mother and newborn baby and family and newborn baby, well, straight away you can go all the prenatal clinics, the hospitals. You know exactly where to advertise. Where the people just prior to birth are hanging out, or where the people just after birth are hanging out. And you can create a message, and there you're a specialist. So who are they going to pay more to? This family and newborn baby specialist, or the photographer with a list of products? You specialise, you can charge more because you're a specialist.
So specialist niche down. I know a lot of people talk about it in the industry. When you've then decided on your niche, when it comes to like the sales, you highlight the importance of consultative selling. So how can someone be better at this without feeling like pushy or salesy?
I think sales is a nurture journey. I work with clients. We always build out a nurture journey as one of the first things we do, because what we'll do is we've done our marketing. We've got really clear on who we want to attract. We get a lead drop in, and that lead goes 3 ways. They go not interested, interested but not ready, interested and ready. And what we will do is we will only focus on the interested and ready. If they've found a house, they've had an offer accepted, they're ready to go, or if their mortgage is due up in 2 months' time and they need to remortgage, we jump all over them. And then we look for the next lead that's like that. The not interested segment just means not yet. They might not be interested now, but they might be interested in the future, or they may have friends and family that are interested. So they should drop into a nurture journey where they get, they might get a monthly newsletter, but it's pretty generic. The interested not ready, I reckon anyone that works on the interested not readies will increase their business by 20%. Because these are the people that perhaps are just making an initial inquiry because they're going to be out looking, or they're more than 6 months away from their remortgage. Generally, they get dropped because we can't work for them at the moment. But if you put them in a nurture journey, so if we know they're a first-time buyer starting to look, they've just started saving, add them into a nurture journey for first-time buyers, and they get the newsletter, but they get on a regular basis, they might get top tips for first-time buyers when looking, things to view, how to negotiate with an estate agent, what your costs are going to be once you start moving in, newsletter, another 3 or 4 touch points newsletter, and then once every few months or monthly, give them a call. How are you getting on? Maintain that relationship. You generate them as a lead, yet because they're not ready right now, we let them go. Yet there's 20% of your business just coming down the line in the future. So that's so important to work on the interested not readies. And we just drop them by the wayside. So if you've got a nurture journey, and this is the systems process, if you've got a nurture journey, you put their information in, and that looks after them for you, then
it's key, isn't it? I saw a video the other day of somebody talking about the #1 car salesman in America, and they interviewed him, and they said, "What would you put your success down to?" He says, "Too many car salesmen focus on selling the car." He says, "But what I focus on is when somebody walks through that door, whoever they are, when they are ready to buy a car, they come to me." And he says, "Look, it took me 12 to 24 months to really see the effects. But everybody that walked through that door, in a year's time, I was the one they thought of." So he would just have leads drop in his lap. He didn't have to do anything there and then. They just came to him and went, "Right, Johnny, I need to buy a car and I'm buying it from you." It's exactly what you've spoken about there. You're giving them the first-time buyers tips. You're giving them the negotiate with an estate agent. You're keeping in touch with them. all you've got to be, you haven't got to be the best at converting them into the lead. You just got to be the one that gives them the most value.
There's if you don't, especially buying, if you don't keep in touch with them, the estate agent's going to recommend whoever they've got. So you think, well, I've had the conversation. They're now out looking. They'll come back to me. Oh no, they won't. You are forgotten the instant they walk out that door. You've got to keep in touch with them. One of the guys we both work with, we've done the nurture journey. They've got this interested not ready section, and he said himself after 3 months he's surprised how many people are contacting him, feeling that he's been in touch with them all the time during that 3 months, going, okay, it's great, we're now ready to progress and we'd love to take you forward. He's not done anything. He's just built a system, and that delivers every week. Then people are getting a text, a WhatsApp. It's funny because this was another learning. We changed from email and text to email and WhatsApp, and the results went up by 30%, which shows how much WhatsApp's now used over text. And that's the sort of thing. This is going to, although I put in finance, this is about knowing your numbers. You can test and measure. So, so this marketing is attracting the right people, but the sales funnel is all about taking them from that we know you to we know, like, and trust you, and we're going to be, purchases. I'll do this, and this is probably in the operations. If you've got someone out that's come to you looking for a house purchase, why don't you ring them on a Friday or Monday? Because whatever estate agent they find a house through, you guarantee they're the ones you're going to lose to. So, on a Friday, are you out looking this weekend? Is there anything you've seen? What would the mortgage be? Would you like me to run the numbers for you? On the Monday, how did you get on over the weekend? You've got to build that relationship. People need a relationship and a reason to come back to you. And they're not coming back to you over rate, because everyone, let's face it, you can train a chimp to sort a mortgage.
And with the automations and the use of AI with the banks, they're going to start doing that, especially the remortgage side of things. A bank will be able to do a PT in the space of a day soon. You know what I mean? They'll be able to do it automatically.
If that's the case, the only thing you can differentiate yourself on is that relationship. You need to build a relationship. COVID killed relationships. Everyone was so used to dealing on email that everyone, have you chased that client? Yeah, I sent them an email. Pick the phone up. Build a relationship. If you're trying to build strategic partners, go and take them for coffee. Don't send them an email. Take them for coffee. Take them for lunch. Find out what they're into. It's a relationship game.
What I love, what you're speaking about there, is that relationship game, Paul, is the way that social media is going with AI and all this. There's such a space now for you to stand out as an individual. Both on social media, that's our specialism, get your face out there, tell the story. But like you said there, instead of the automated emails and things, they're picking up the phone. How are you getting on this weekend? What are you viewing? How did you viewings go on a Monday? It's all so true to stand out against Smith's Mortgages down the road that will email you in 6 months when your fixed rate's due.
It's, everyone's tapping themselves on the back going, aren't we efficient? Look how we're embracing AI. This is so smooth. We're so seamless. Yeah, but so is everyone else now. And there's going to be someone that's even more advanced than you. And the more advanced you get, the less interaction you have with a client. And that's where you're going to win the work. It's relationship building. Why would I use you over an AI tool? It's because I've got a relationship with you. I know, like, and trust you. You've looked after me now. You understand me. You send me a birthday card and a Christmas card. You know when it's a big birthday and you make it something special for me. Do you know, it's that I'm going to buy off who I know, like, and trust. If I've got a judge on 2 or 3 AI-generated quotes, I've got no loyalty to anyone. But if I've got 2 AI-generated quotes and I've got someone I've got a relationship with, they're going to win all day long. And by having a nurture journey on the sales side that automates as much as you can, that creates the time for you to make the personal stuff. If you can
do the personal
automate the mundane and then personalise all this stuff in between, it's so much more efficient. So I'm not saying AI is good or bad. What I'm saying is you need to systemise as much as you can to create more time for you to work on the personal relationships, because that's what's going missing.
So we've talked about talking about marketing, talking about sales, the operations. I'm not going to touch on too much because if you listen to this, you're obviously a great mortgage advisor because you're listening to the number one podcast in this space, of course. But moving on to like selling the company, the book isn't just about growing the business. It's about making it saleable. So what does it really take to get a business ready to sell, Paul?
The operations, just touching on operations for me is being able to deliver repeatable quality.
Okay.
So you have to build systems. People run systems, systems run a company. You have to build solid systems, solid processes so that when you get, if I do you a great service and you recommend me to a friend or family, that friend or family member will get the same high quality of service. It can't be hit or miss. So you've got to build great systems and great service. And that's the repeatable quality is always the aim. You've got to deliver repeatable quality. So if you want to come to selling a business, it's all about, no one wants to buy a job. They can get one of them for nothing. So, and this is where everyone, or generally, lots of people will go wrong. If I walked into you and said, Chris, love your business, I love what you're doing. Who writes the most business in your company? You go, oh, I do. I outright the next two brokers 2-1. Brilliant. Who looks after your marketing? Well, I sign everything off. I'm involved in marketing. Right, okay. What about your sales processes? Yep, done them all myself. Who looks after your finances? Well, I won't let anyone else do it. It's my company's finances. I'm going to look after it from start to finish. I want to know where everything is, every penny, whatever. Brilliant. So when I buy this company off you, where are you going? Well, I'll probably go and get a beach hut in Barbados. So you're now exiting, and every bit of knowledge in that business exit with you. There is no value. There's no value to a company that does £400,000 where the business owner does 300,000 of it. You've got to get to a stage. If you want to sell a business, you've got to make yourself redundant in your own business. I had a sort of a little wobble in my business and I just lost the love for it. And I had an operations manager. I just phoned her up and said, Laura, I'm not coming in today. In fact, I don't know when I'm coming in. I went back 3 months later with no engagement at all, and they'd sacked one operations person, hired 2 more, and hired a new broker. And I had no involvement in that at all. The company was running without me, so I know we weren't marketing and sales, as I've said, but we knew how to look after clients. We knew the ratio of admin to brokers. We knew what a broker should be selling, what their average case size should be. So someone looking to buy the business was like, it was a business in a box. It's already there. It's already got structure. It's already got processes. Another one of the businesses I sold, they bought it just for the structure and processes. They'd spent £500,000 developing systems that weren't working, and it was cheaper for them to buy me or buy our company that already had the system processes working. So if you're looking to sell, the first thing you need to do is make yourself redundant. So I always say every staff member should have KPIs. Even if it's how many times the phone's allowed to ring before someone answers it, the way you answer it, the next steps, the whole process needs to be documented. Go and create Loom videos on every process. When a new starter comes on board, they go through the same onboarding process. They watch the videos. If someone wants to know what the figures are, they're there, they're available. Everyone knows where to look. Everyone knows what their job role is and where that cuts off and it goes into the next job role. Everyone knows what the marketing spend is, how to increase or decrease the lead quality. Everyone knows the nurture journey, how long it takes from start to finish for that customer to become a client. It's them sort of numbers, and you've got to have a basis where you are not required, because the day you sell that company, you're not going to be there. You don't want phone calls every 5 minutes, and they don't want to be giving phone calls, because why would I pay a premium for your business when I'm going to have all the headaches? I might as well start one up on my own for free. So you've got to create. I always say you've got to create a business in a box. I've got to. If I'm buying your business, I want to walk in. I don't want to train the staff. All the staff that are there know what is expected of them. They know if there's a new member coming in, what their onboarding and training process looks like to get up to speed, and they know what the numbers are looking like to coming out the other end. So I know that I used to run. I can tell you now. It used to be 22.6 net profit. We used to know that. I used to know how much it used to cost to acquire a new client. I used to know the lifetime value of a client. I used to know how many referrals we'd got off an average client in that lifetime. I'd know the cost of getting that client. You know, I'd know the cost of running the business. I'd know what overheads could be cut if it gets lean, and that's what people want. They want something they can walk into that works without any more input. All they want to do is come in and be able to give it a little bit of a boost and take it to the next level. But the way they get to the next level is already laid out for them, and it's that clarity. And it's like most business owners, they fall in love with it, and they want to be involved with every single bit of it. And what you actually become is you become the bottleneck. When we're saying scoring the business out of 10, I can guarantee the biggest bottleneck in any business is usually the owner, because they don't want to give anything away. They want to say yes to everything. They want to have an opinion on everything, and they want to get involved in everything. And that's not a business. That's a job.
Yeah, that's what as you said, try and make yourself redundant. If you're looking to sell, then make yourself redundant. Now, you've covered a lot of stuff there, a lot in just that point alone. So if a mortgage advisor is watching this and they listen to all of this, they're feeling completely overwhelmed with what you've spoken about, where would you tell them to start? Where do you tell your clients to start? Like, what's the first practical step that they should take?
Normally, I just, read the book. But normally it's like, let's have a look. If you got yourself marketing, sales, operations, and finance, and you broke them down a little bit, what would you score yourself out of each? And it's like the recurring circle. It's the problem you've got is always in that box or the one before. So if you've not got enough, leads coming through, you've not got enough sales coming through, then you either got a nurture journey that's not working in the sales department, or your marketing's not attracting the right people. So it's always the problem's either in the box that you're in or the one before it. If you've not got enough leads coming through, are you doing the right marketing? Is the marketing box, or the one before that in the constant circle is finance? Are you spending enough on your leads to attract the amount of leads you need? It's always the box you're in or the one before. So first thing I would say is give yourself a score out of 10 on marketing, sales, ops, and finance. Where do you think the biggest issue is? Marketing is always probably the first thing most people sort of struggle with is leads. They haven't got enough leads. Whether they're starting or whether they're growing, they want more leads. So, how do you increase the lead volume? And if you haven't got, this is going back, if you don't know who you're trying to attract, you're just going to throw money at it and go, marketing's a waste of time. I spent £2,000 last month and got nothing. Well, who was you trying to attract? Well,
everyone, and that's where the issue comes.
And it's like, when I first started getting coaching, they said, who's your ideal client? I said, anyone with a mortgage. Well, that's 7 million households. That's not everyone with a mortgage. Do I want to do subprime? No, not really. Do I want to do, first-time buyers? Well, don't mind. What about self-employed? No. What about high net worth? Oh, yeah, I'd love to get in high net worth. Okay, now we know we're high net worth. Where are they going to shop? Probably shop at Waitrose. Where they go to work out? Probably David Lloyd. Okay, so now we're starting to get somewhere. Now, but you can't do your marketing if you don't even know who you're trying to attract. So that's often one of the starting points. Who are you trying to attract? What niche would you like to specialise in? And then when you are attracting them, how are you looking after them? So the first thing I would do in any business, because we're pretty much assuming that because they're a mortgage broker already, they tend to know how to write and source a mortgage. So the operations that's going to be a bit of a bottleneck at some point, but let's just park that for now. Let's go to the start of the first half. Who are you trying to attract? What are you doing to attract them? When you do attract them, how are you making sure you're not just looking after the 20% that are interested and ready, and you're still nurturing the 80% that are interested, not ready, or not interested? So the marketing and sales is the first one that probably needs looking at.
That's the
and
first
then the efficiencies go on from now.
I think you hit the nail on the head. If you don't know who you're targeting, everything crumbles from there. And that's exactly what I would take away from this. Paul, you've covered so much in the last 40 minutes for everybody. There's so much value in there. And I know, looking at the book, you go into so much more depth. If somebody does want to get their hands on the book, where can they reach you, or where can they get the book from?
the book's available on Amazon. So just Google Build Scale Sell and it comes up on Amazon. Or, if you want to contact me, if you've got a problem, I always say I'll give anybody who's out there 30 to 60 minutes of my time. If I can help solve a problem for them and make their life easier, regarding business, that is, not general life, but regarding business, more than happy. So just contact me on LinkedIn or whatever. And if you've got a problem, I'll give you 30 to 60 minutes and try and help you solve it. If you're serious on moving your business forward, then that's a different discussion. But in general, I've gone through the process of 4 companies now. I've lost the hair on the way. I've got a few battle scars. If I can save you some of that pain with a 30-minute phone call, then that's my bit giving back to the community. If you want to go on further, then that's fine, but that's not the premise. The premise is just trying to help people, which is why the book was released. If I can help people through the book, then that's better.
Fantastic. And Paul's spelling of his surname is Flavin. So if you do want to connect with him on LinkedIn or socials, wherever it might be, that's how you spell his surname. Well, Paul, thank you so much for coming on. I've learned a lot myself as well. Even though we're a marketing company, it's just realigned my fact of I need to be speaking directly to the people that we want to be doing business with. And it was really interesting to talk to you about the interested and not ready, or interested and ready. It's nurturing those type of people. And this is the kind of thing that Paul does. If you go to him, he will teach you and talk to you about the best way to nurture those clients through different pieces of software and different pieces of different ways of communication. Like you said, with WhatsApp, increased it by 30%. So Paul, before we give away all the secrets, I'm going to let you go, but thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I really, really appreciate your time.
Brilliant. No, thanks for inviting me, Chris. Really appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you, Paul.